Hello, good evening. I've got the light purposely low because these little earth antenna that I'm wearing have this subtle, delicate little pulsation of light that goes through them. And I thought that was pretty neat. I'd have it even lower if I could, but then I get to looking too spooky. I mean, this doesn't do very much good now, does it? The little antenna goes away. So, and also, I think it's fun to show off the beautiful picture by Art Fantasies. You can look online and see the video. Art Fantasies is the name of his YouTube site. His name is Christian, and he's a great artist, in my opinion. And he painted this one for me. And it's two willow trees, weeping willow trees, and you can see by the different hills that they're on, representing the ocean, perhaps that's between us, since he lives in Bavaria. All right, I have a written journal for you, and I'm going to speak for just a minute too. Mostly what I come here to give you is not the fruit of my mind. I think most of you know what I think about the mind and how useful it is. And yet I find in the last 3 videos where I've been talking about the things that I've learned that have helped me discern better ETs and channelers and that kind of thing, that it's been, more of a just me sharing. It hasn't been the regular journals. So I want to get back into the flow of that. And this one is from August 31st of 2010, the second of that day. The Mayan day was 6 Earth. Okay, I had to put greater light on it. The camera wasn't doing a good job of tracking the audio with the video, and I think it was the poor lighting, although I don't know. I'm not certain. We'll see. Okay. Shining greater light requires humility. What I notice about these days as they are passing in this trecena is the more-available-ness of love. Does that make sense? I keep finding myself melting and merging into that, whatever it is. And always remember, don't get lost in the words. That's a mind trap. When we come out from our point of being anchored in the heart, all life is different. Our being is much deeper, though we see and are seen on the surface in a surface way. We preserve in our very beingness the love light of our divinity, or of divinity. Say it either way, it doesn't matter. Only mind thinks that it does. Mind is what nitpicks and what can drive us fairly batty, but only if we let it. We can walk away from that. What mind doesn't yet know is that we don't need it. It's got the big head, the conceit of the empty-headed fool, only this fool's quite well educated. He's a fool all the same, just doesn't yet know it. And there's the danger, of course, the ball thrown from an area not expected nor planned for, or the punch that slips in past our guard. What of that? What to make of it? Well, there's a choice point. We get to choose how we go on from any such point. And at first, we don't see that they're blessings. In disguise they are, but mind, being a surface creature, cannot possibly see that. They come from a place mind cannot visit nor occupy. So, mind cannot have useful contingency plans for such events, such surprises that do come inevitably. Now, the one thoroughly buried, identified in mind, will not even see them. This one cannot come out, step aside enough to perceive what is happening, has no clue of the potential that's there. Such it has been for the full lifetime of many, if not most, of mankind, and this is what is ending. We're all being raised by the general raising of frequencies all around us, inside of us too. Thus, it matters not where we've been, it's where we are that's at stake. It's decision time. We're waking up. Constantly, throughout each day, each now moment, endless choices are being made. They've all but gone on unconsciously. So asleep have we been, so drugged, so hypnotized into a half sleep. Well, let's not leave that quite yet, but have a look and see why not to judge that state. Why not to condemn it outright? What do you think? No, better yet, what do you feel? Let's all vow to ourselves not to be afraid of all the stuff that's coming up from within now. It can be quite shocking to our state, our sleeping state. Well, can we not easily see how the real you, the real I of each one wants to be shocked this way? How else to wake up? What other alarm clock have we? This one appears to be working just fine. People are waking up all over the place, and regular folks too. Not just saints and sages and meditators. Not at all. That time is past. But let's not go off on that detour. Let's stay where we are. We're examining sleeping, the sleep state we've all been in for so long. Is it bad? Is it evil? Is it some terrible thing? Should we go look for whose nose to break over this? What is your take on it? How do you feel? And ask those questions seriously. Bring those feelings, those buried things up to have a look at. Best acknowledge that they're there. You'll do no good just pushing them away. I didn't anyway. When things come up, there's a reason for that. Deal with them now, or deal with them later, but deal we must. Why else are they there anyway? Just to irritate you? I think not. As the light rises, as frequencies intensify, it's much like shining a sunbeam into a glade in the woods. All the dust motes, all the pollen, the little gnats and things all show up. Well, folks, let's look at that. Let's all realize that the pollen, the dust, the little gnats and things were there all along. Let's accept that we're just now seeing it, but it didn't just show up. And that's important. Maybe more important than we know right now. Otherwise, you open the gate for mind to have a field day trying to figure out the whys and wherefores of what's showing up. Who sent it? Why they did that? What's the meaning, the purpose behind it? Yada, yada, yada. No thanks. You close the door on that by simply seeing more clearly, by realizing that this stuff's been there all along, just unseen. Can you do that? Sure you can. The ego doesn't like to accept any wrongness. It wants to be perfect, always. It objects if it's not, and it tries to correct that. Well, give it no space. That's just mind. And this is where humility comes in, if you let it. It is our natural state. You can find it within. In your true beingness, you're quite happy not to know, even to be wrong. You see how it doesn't matter one bit. Nothing does in the illusion. not the way mind thinks and wants to think that it does. Mind makes everything so serious, so important. Well, that's nonsensical, even humorous when you get to this space. It's quite silly the airs mind puts on. Mind doesn't see that, takes itself oh so seriously, but you don't. At a certain point, you just don't. You see through this. You have a good laugh now and then, even at your own expense, and just go on. So you see, by being a bit humble, you can both see and accept that this stuff could have been there, and a lot else besides, all along. You accept that you just couldn't see it. This doesn't deflate simply because you're not inflated to begin with. Do you see?